Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to another Planetary Annihilation cast. It does take me a while to get into the game unfortunately, but I'll go straight ahead and get rid of my commander so I can spectate for you. Now today we have Doxbox against Darktom77. Let's see if we can find out where these players have spawned. Doxbox has spawned over here between three lakes really, in this sort of secluded area here, sort of choke points on all sides. Got a lot of mechs near him, so he'll be looking to expand to all of those as soon as possible. And Darktom has spawned over here by a crevasse, or fissure if you prefer, with again a lot of mechs points. These two players very well spaced apart here, almost on opposite sides of the actual planet itself, so we'll see probably extremely big bases developing over the course of this game. Again, so we can see here Darktom going for 2 mechs, an energy and a vehicle factory, while on the part of Doxbox we also see the 2 mechs and the energy. Whether they've queued up a factory after this we will see momentarily. It looks as though they've gone for the 3rd mechs. It's always a strong economic build there, but because they are going to be behind on that initial fabricator or even scout, which is being produced by Darktom, they're going to get behind slightly, although at this point it's not going to make too much of a difference. Doxbox taking the gamble that because this is a pretty big planet they will have spawned quite a way away from each other, and using that travelling distance to their advantage to get some really strong early economy. Lots of skitters being produced by Darktom, both players knowing that as this is a big planet they do need to get a handle on where their opponent has spawned, so as soon as possible they can get a grip on their expansion and take measures to prevent it. Something that both players will need to do now is keep using their commanders to expand to all of this metal while keeping their military production going. Here we can see a bot factory and a bot fabricator being produced by Doxbox, probably going over to make some more mech sites or even some more energy sites. Although maybe even another factory with this second fabricator or even a 3rd fabricator, depending on what their build strategy is there. And that on Darktom's side we see a lot of mechs points being eaten up right here, so that's going to get a lot of metal income, and the commander using the advanced build speeds to get those T1 energy up rapidly indeed. And we're also seeing some other fabricators here probably heading over to these mech sites to maybe claim a front line over here, as it were. Back with Doxbox we see a similar sort of build starting to emerge now. The mech sites being grabbed continually, which is good, and the energy also going up to provide a sort of backing for our factories over here. And as we get more fabricators out, they are going to start eating up more resources, so gathering more resources with them at the same time as they're being produced is a good idea. Getting some radar up instead from Darktom with that fabricator that went walkies, starting to establish that intelligence network. I still believe that these players do not know where these where they have spawned, though usually you can guess by the abundance of mechs points in a region, because players tend to try and go for as many mechs points as they possibly can. Darktom using full advantage of the map size here to expand to all of those mech sites. Doxbox appears to be slightly behind, although with their fabricators continually coming out and their econ continuing to build up, they might start to catch up here. Although, as I say, Darktom now has a 2nd factory out as well, starting to produce those military units, and even a 3rd factory as well. That's really 4th, in fact. Wow, okay, but they're spreading out, as you can see, so they'll probably hope to guard this whole area between these fissures and lakes and cliffs. So we'll probably see this whole region dominated with orange icons sooner or later, and this whole region here dominated with red icons. Again, the 2nd factory going up for Doxbox, which is also a good thing to see. And also some T1 scampers, I believe, going out. Probably starting to produce a defensive army just in case Darktom does come along with an aggressive expeditionary force, which wouldn't be particularly friendly. As you can see here over, Darktom sending their skitter up to this highly concentrated mechs, just to see, would they have spawned there? And so we could have seen there that the waypoints went blop, blop, and now coming back up and around here. The second factory here is actually a vehicle factory, almost finished now by this bot fabber, while Econ is continuing to be developed. These factories here, we've almost got 4 of them now, 3 vehicle and 1 air. The F factory will get some of those scouts out faster so they can cover more ground, and again we can see Darktom getting a lot of radar going as well. So this whole intelligence network here from Darktom is currently far superior to Doxbox, who hasn't really scouted all that much, and without knowing where Darktom has spawned, they cannot really make a reasonable judgment as to where to put their defensive lines. Although, as I said earlier, these players will be assuming, in fact, Darktom has now found the spawn of Doxbox and so can factor that into their equation, but Doxbox at this point will still be assuming that the large planet size will probably, the chances are they'll have a reasonable travel distance between the bases, and so is not too worried at this point about getting the defense up. Although after that scout has come in, they will want to get that up sooner rather than later, because you can almost guarantee, because if they have 4 scampers, you can almost guarantee that your opponent has identical or equivalent in terms of military. Again, here we see lots of econ expansion going around, and also down here on the part of both players, in fact. Darktom producing these intel front lines, as it were, just to get any heads up on any pushes that may take place before getting to their main hub of operations here, burying the commander in a very dense energy field. That's a lot of energy, and also a lot of T1 ants just roaming around. I'm not sure whether they're going to come back across this way using the shorter distance between the bases. Going this way is the longer distance, and so maybe exploiting that shorter distance and larger numbers to come straight in here to these mechs points. Although, as we can see, Doxbox has utilised that assumption with 2 ants and 2 scampers here just to ward off that any form of expeditionary force until they can get more forces out. Got 4 scampers over there and a few ants starting to be produced now, and also an advanced bot factory. This is very early advanced bot factory, and we also see a couple of walls going up, and hopefully we'll see some point defense towers, as gentlemen's rules do dictate that you are allowed 1 wall per defense structure. So hopefully what they're doing is going around building the walls, and then they're going to follow that up with some defences, maybe from a Tech 2 engineer that comes out of here, or using the commander's superior build speed to get rid of that dubiousness in terms of rules there. An advanced vehicle factory going up from Darktom as well, maybe starting to see some early levelers going out. Both players continuing to get their econ going, and in fact Darktom also now has some hummingbirds, so they will be defending against any early air pushes, and also some air fabricators, making use of their ability to get some advanced air factories out, maybe even going for some hornets or some commander sniping later in the game. So although advanced bot factories are good in this respect because you can get some stompers going out there, and other T2 bots are a lot more manoeuvrable than T2 vehicles and a lot more microable, so they may take less damage in large numbers and therefore do more damage. And yes, as I assumed there, the commander is going to follow it up with the superior build speed, because engineers take quite a lot longer than the commander, and especially if they're alone. Again, these ants moving out here may be going to take a little bit of a gander into Doxbox's lower energy, economic base down here, which is relatively undefended. I mean, we do have an ant and scamper army over here, but other than that, we do need to get some walls and point defenses up soon. Otherwise, these ants are going to come in wave after wave after wave and start to beat Doxbox back and get him on the back foot there. Though it's clearly assumed here that this is going to be the way that the enemy is going to push in, because all of the forces have been mobilized to this eastern front right here, which is going to be interesting to see where this first engagement takes and who ends up with the advantage there. Other than that, Darktom clearly a lot of ground covered here, although Doxbox is starting to expand, getting some defensive lines going, but on the wrong end. Although if you've combined this sort of defensive line on the west with this defensive army on the east, which is going to bypass these ants right here, and that is going to leave this econ field very wide open indeed. I mean, you do have these anti-air towers, but they do very little damage to ants compared to your laser towers, and all of these mech points are now in great danger as these ants start to tear through. I'm not sure whether Doxbox will opt to bring this army back and try and fight this off, or is going to maybe push out with those armies. And in fact, we might even see a GG at this early point from Doxbox, who realizes maybe they haven't got the military they needed at this point in the game. Although if they can get out a T2 bot, they would be able to probably beat this army back, but at this point it is looking very dire for Doxbox indeed. Although I think at this point actually this army is going to get beaten back, although as I say there will be a follow-up force. They need to get their commander over here rather than continuing with this build queue. They really need to prioritize at this point. Scampers constantly being produced and trying to run desperately to repel these ants, but Scampers versus ants is not the most favourable of matches, I tell you that for nothing. And all of these fabricators are out in the open along with all of this metal until the point that all of these ants are going to start going, and there is the GG in effect. The suicide from Doxbox indicates their resignation and conceit of the game. Well, that was a reasonably short one from Doxbox and Darktom indeed. You can see here that Darktom had really started to expand and even getting some bumblebees out to maybe follow up on the commander. So other than that, you can see quite how important an early build order is and prioritizing in terms of your defensive lines. Well, thank you again for watching another Shoutcast. There's plenty more where that came from coming to you very soon. I'll also start to be streaming some Planetary Annihilation on my Twitch channel, which is also Mega Marshal XP if you just search with Planetary Annihilation, although in the evening sometimes I'm streaming something to friends and I tend to forget about getting rid of the Planetary Annihilation tag there, so apologies for that. Again, thank you for watching. Do drop a like or even a comment. And there's going to be plenty more content coming your way very soon, so do not forget to subscribe for a lot more Planetary Annihilation and other things as well. Thank you for watching. Come back soon and have a nice day.